So joining us to discuss the Mideast conflict is Jonathan Broder. He's a contributing editor at Congressional Quarterly. Jonathan, thank you for joining us. In some of the writing that you have done, you asked not just the question about how Israel missed the preparations for the Hamas attack last Saturday, you ask how they failed to prevent Hamas from amassing an unprecedented stockpile of weapons.
Yes, the relationship between Hamas and Iran goes back many, many years, and during that, over the decades, Iran has provided Hamas with the components for missiles and for rockets, and much later they provided Hamas with the machinery and the know-how to manufacture these missiles and rockets themselves inside Gaza. One of the effects of this was when Hamas opened its attack on Israel a week ago, last Saturday. They launched something like 2,500 missiles very, very quickly within close succession, literally overwhelming Israel's Iron Dome air defense system. And the fact that they could launch that many missiles at once was an indication of just how active their domestic weapons production has been.
And perhaps just how coordinated those preparations were. Now, a significant ground operation is expected soon. Iran has said that if Israel does progress with this air, land and sea operation, then it too will get involved in the conflict. If it does, how might this conflict shift from where it is now?
Iran's past behavior in these sort of situations has always been to use its proxy forces to fight Iran's enemies rather than Iranian troops themselves. So I don't expect Iranian troops to get involved. What I do expect is for there to be pressure from Iran on Hezbollah, which is the proxy in the north, in Lebanon, to jump into the fight. Now, there have been warnings by Hezbollah that they will join in, and as your last guest pointed out, there's already firing going on the northern border. There is, however, some hesitation, at least politically, within Lebanon among Hezbollah officials to jump into this thing. You have to remember that Hezbollah, in addition to being a militia, is also a political party in Lebanon. And the last time Hezbollah and Israel went to war back in 2006, the Israeli reaction was to essentially destroy much of Lebanon's infrastructure. And the head of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, said that if he knew what the Israeli reaction was going to be to the last punch-up that they had, he never would have provoked the fighting by kidnapping a couple of Israeli soldiers on the border. So a poll was also taken, which is very noteworthy, of Lebanese citizens of their support for Hamas, and the support was very tepid. It was about 35–37%. So Hezbollah has to think twice before it jumps into this war.
And of course, the US is sending its own military backups. Another set of US warships was headed to the region in a show of force meant to prevent more escalation. How can the US de-escalate tensions effectively if, for the most part so far, they've voiced nothing but unconditional support for Israel?
Right, and that is going to, I think, stay in place until this fighting is over. America is not going to, I think, restrict or restrain Israel in any meaningful sense. I mean, I think that what they're doing is they're, at least rhetorically, telling the Israelis, you have to observe the laws of war and try to avoid as many civilian casualties as possible. But as everyone can see, there's not a lot of maneuvering room for civilians inside Gaza. They can go to the south, as the Israelis have urged them to do, but in situations like this, there is going to be inevitable civilian casualties.
All right, we'll leave it there. Jonathan, I appreciate your insight. Jonathan Broder for us there, contributing editor at Congressional Quarterly.